I'm going to start by introducing our speakers. So, first of all, just to explain to you who I am. I'm Gordon Mullen. I'm one of EPAM's lead business analyst and product owners, and I will be hosting and facilitating the session for today. The first speaker that you'll be hearing from is Eugene Nikiforov. So Eugene is a proactive software industry professional with over 25 years of in-depth experience in discovery, solution design, architecture, and program management. And as head of our product information management and digital asset management practice at EPAM, Eugene's focused on delivering solution competence in PIM and DAM in both B2B and B2C marketplaces for EPAM's enterprise level customers. Second speaker we'll hear from today is Chandra Sekaran, and he's a seasoned software professional with over 18 years of experience architecting and building scalable cloud-based web solutions and web applications for enterprise companies using Sitecore, .NET, and Azure. And as a solution architect at EPAM, his recent experience includes delivering next-generation content solutions and integrations for leading brands across the globe. Before we get into the content, just for those of you that perhaps aren't as familiar with EPAM, just a few quick facts about us. So we were founded in 1993 and are headquartered out of New York. The revenue for Q4 last year was 723 million, bringing us up to 2.7 billion for the year. So although obviously last year was a tough year for everybody with the pandemic, we were fortunate with our clients that we were able to deliver some good results and keeping up our 5-year revenue growth, 24%. Just to give you an idea of the size, we are now over 41,000 people globally. And a really important thing I think that differentiates EPAM from perhaps some of the other consultancy type firms is that nearly 37,000 of those are engineers, designers, and consultants, people that actually do the doing. And we do cover over 35 countries. And we've also played a part in developing many of the products that you love and use every day. And with that, I am going to hand over to Eugene.
Okay, so our presentation is called, this part is Generate, Aggregate, and Distribute. So we'll basically be speaking about various approaches and trends in digital asset management and digital assets. Move to the next slide. So basically what we see is that the world is changing, yeah, and the world is changing also with regards to how many devices we have, how are we interacting with our customers, and effectively number of channels we have to deal with. Yes, so this complicates kind of many things. Yes, starting from content creation, yeah, for digital assets, which are always linked with some form of the metadata, up to planning and distributing content. And if we think about what the challenge is, the challenge really lies in the customer-centric data. Because if you think about your companies, you know, you generally have some supplier-centric data, some enterprise data. This is working well, but if you kind of think about the product life cycle, this is what I call kind of a slow data, which means that once it's created, it almost never changes. And then with the abundance of additional channels that you need to supply information, supply content, transact, interact with your customers, many companies have some issues dealing with the customer-centric data. So we're working constantly with Forrester. I was helping, you know, to work with them with another vendors on the latest PIM-DAM report. And basically this is the quote that they put from me, but in a nutshell, it's about the fact that we sometimes don't think about the information which is useful for marketers, yes? And, you know, we're thinking about, okay, we have this PIM system, we have this DAM system, and maybe we have another documentation system, and then we have PLM systems where we design our products that contain maybe some form of ingredient or factory information or compliance information. And basically, one of the things to do to make an engaging customer experience is to bring all this information out of silos. Yes, because you never know right now how what information you might need. Yeah, and you need to be able to effectively present yourself to the end consumer within the different slices of the information. Now, we are, right now you should be able to see basically a poll coming up. Yeah, if you could please, answer the questions, and we'll review it after a couple of slides. But basically, like, where do you store your assets? Yes, local drives, Dropboxes, SharePoints, etc. But if we are, like, again, coming back to the presentation, yeah, we have this COVID situation. Yes, so I live in New York, so it's kind of, New York changed a lot. Yes, and a lot of the stores, physical stores, closed. Yes, and for many brands and for many companies, this represented, I would say, between 30 to 40% of their revenue. Yes, so which means that you need to be much more agile, much more active on the new channels. Yes, and if we're speaking about the digital content overall, you're seeing that, obviously streaming increased, video streaming increased, web traffic went up very high, and video games are popular. Yes, so but this basically means that customers are more and more interacting via mobile or other computing devices like iPads, laptops, etc. Yeah, and we have also some of the channels that are a little bit unexpected. And on the next slide, I'm trying to show the example of TikTok. Yes, and TikTok is a new channel. It went kind of very viral, and some companies, they embrace it, and some companies, they don't. Yes, but the reason I'm showing this example is because, like, if we look at brands like Dolce & Gabbana or Louis Vuitton, and this is maybe a couple of months or 2-3 months old screenshots, yeah, they almost have very little subscribers or no subscribers. Yeah, and Nike was ready to basically embrace a new channel and be able to publish their content and get, probably it's over 2 million subscribers right now. So basically, what it tells us is it tells us the following: that it's not like Louis Vuitton or Dolce & Gabbana, they don't have relevant content. They do. Yes, it's just they didn't have a way and the systems to be able to repurpose their content. Yeah, or it takes them a long time to be able to create a new channel and basically deliver content for their subscribers. Yes, so this is why it's extremely important to think and create an omni-channel strategy, especially for the digital asset management, because basically you should be ready for any possible channel. The next example, and here are some of the examples what companies did kind of in digital, and sometimes retail / digital. Yes, it's, for example, Timberland. Yes, so they used NFR technology. That's basically the technology that you're using in iPhones or Androids to be able to pay contactless payments with your phone. But effectively, it allows customers to click on the label or touch the label, and what the system will do is it will provide them information about what shoes or other product there are. They can also they're also integrated with the discount systems, so it could give you some time of a discount, and then you can also request basically to speak with someone from the application, or it's gonna recommend you some different products. So in here, we're just talking about some of the examples where you kind of see what different companies are doing in digital. Next one is Stanley Black & Decker. Yeah, and Stanley Black & Decker, first of all, they are like 12 plus brand companies. Yeah, but what they're also seeing is that it's also a multi-journey device. Yes. So as you see here, some analytics that they've kind of provided is that roughly 11% start on the tablet and 10 continue on the PC, yes, and 65% start on the smartphone and 61 continue on the PC. So basically, what it means is that you need to be able to deliver digital asset management content and overall metadata and experiences on the various devices, and they should be similar and have a very consistent information. Yes, so and in many cases, digital assets are much more important than the data itself, because first of all, people shop visually. Second of all, if you think about all the manuals, specifications, etc., it's all also digital assets. Yes, it's PDFs, it's Word documents, it's maybe training videos or something else. So we're seeing this trend that shopping is more and more kind of visual, yeah. And again, what we were speaking about, content that resides in silos, companies like Stanley Black & Decker were able to bring in all the wealth of information and link their product data, link the digital assets together with safety and compliance documents, yes. And this is kind of what we see. The next one is Sephora. Sephora is interesting in the sense that they have this virtual trial kind of application where you can try things in a virtual way. You can basically add things to cart. You can do virtual tries on and home, but it doesn't stop there. When you go into the store, it provides you basically like some form of interactive experience within the store itself. Yeah. And again, it's ready for a multi-device journey. You can load some things in home and go into the store and be able to basically look at the look at the things when you are in a physical store. And then the next one is also kind of showing power of change. Yes, so Tesla. Yeah, so since COVID kind of came in, physical stores are closed. Yes, so what they did is they were able and had enough data and systems to be able to open a store on Taobao.com, which is the largest online shop in China, and they did it in the collaboration with Alibaba Group. But again, they look at the date. It's April 16th, yes, and COVID started roughly, let's just say, January, February. So it took them very little time to be able to basically open the store and start selling their products. And sometimes people, they don't understand what they need. Yeah, they need PIM, they need DAM, they need PLM, they need other systems. So what we can do in here is we provided you, and again, I will not go deep, but we provided you and we'll share with you the definition of what each system should be able to do. Yes. So this basically helps you to understand how the systems are called and what are the functions of the systems from the very ideation of products up to discontinuing the product and where the product finishes its life cycle. And maybe it's a good time right now to bring the results of the poll and see it. I don't know if it's possible to bring in. Yeah, so again, we're looking at local drives. Yes, very few people Dropbox. Okay, Google Drive. And Microsoft SharePoint and some storing at others. So again, when you're thinking about digital assets, yes, and I'll speak about it on the next slide, you really need specialized software. You really need to think about your digital assets, data model, how it relates to products, how it relates to marketing, and how can you put it together kind of very well, because it's all very much interconnected, and all of those systems that I'm showing to you they contain some form of the digital assets. And think about, for example, in the food industry or grocery stores, if you have ability to bring ingredients, for example, into your PIM, you can then segment your catalog and basically, show maybe catalogs for people that have, I don't know, peanuts allergy, yes, or lactose intolerant, yeah. Or you can bring information about factories, I don't know, in China, Vietnam, or whatever in the world you have, yeah, and their energy consumption. So you can basically show your customers that you're using a lot of green energy. Now, if we're speaking about digital landscape, yeah, this is roughly how the things are looking. Yes, so you have basically a digital asset management system. Yeah, it's always connected to some backend data sources. Yes, because in DAM you should be able to search content in the context of what you're doing. Yes, and again, this is a challenging problem for DAMs. Yes, previous DAMs were thinking about, okay, we have one product, we maybe have one or two images. Yes, and this is much more complex right now because, for example, there are channels that you control, like your website or mobile site, but there are channels that you don't control, yeah, where you still need to see categories, certain structures, product lines, like, for example, Amazon, like Taobao, like Rakuten, or any other B2B and B2C marketplaces. Yes, and then DAM includes some caching layer for a very high availability serving images and digital content to your customers, and then you have integrations into all the platforms, PIM, e-commerce, etc. And again, it's a very bad idea to store any files in all of those systems like e-commerce, PIM, etc. It should only be integration, and DAM should be a central point for all of your digital assets. So, and again, right now where it's trying to get to, we need more than DAM. And again, we want to kind of show another poll, which is asking you about how many kind of digital assets you have right now. But some of the companies and some of the CTOs I speak to, yeah, they're saying, okay, so some CMS or some PIM, it includes a DAM functionality, yeah. And what I'm trying to tell them is there is no light DAM. Yes, again, shopping is becoming completely visual. Yes, so you are no longer dealing with one or two images. You're dealing with quite complex objects where for eyewear, you might want to implement a 360-degree view. For clothing, especially high-end fashion, you might want to give ability customers to zoom in. So when we're speaking about 360 or zoom, suddenly it's 26, I don't know, to 35 images, or you want to do rotation, or you want to basically combine digital assets with some relevant product information like specification or for example, energy consumption. Yes, you no longer, for example, in European Union can sell consumer electronics or just electronics devices without basically providing customer information about how much how much power consumption will be done. Yeah, and again, online sales are booming, but this content is also important not just for B2C but also for B2B. Yeah, because there are some networks that provide information. There are companies like Brand Bank, etc., where you can get some of the enrichment information, but this content is very much also relevant for the B2B. And now we are looking at the poll results. Let's just really quickly look at it. Yeah, so about, okay, so between 10 to 200,000, about 32%, 14%. So I would say the audience that is attending right now, yeah, you have a fairly high high amount of digital assets that you are dealing with. Yes, so you really need to think about it, because if you're producing this much assets, yes, and distributing them, you must have some challenges, yes, and the challenges are going only to increase. It's not going to become easier, yeah. And when you are working with your vendors, partners, or you're implementing specific software solutions, what you need to think about is you need to be ready for not just for the channels that you know right now. You need to be ahead of the curve and be ready for any channel that could come up at any moment, yeah. And you should be able to have capability to repurpose your content for whatever channel is required, yeah. And this is where I will transition, part of my presentation to Chandra. But in here, you're basically seeing like, one of the things we want to present in here is a Sitecore Content Hub. And as you see this circle right now, yes, it deals again from the acquisition, production, again, the MDM, PLM, etc. In the center, you would you're doing your moderation, your collaboration, your workflows, your approval, and then you have a specific publication flow. So I'll pass my controls to Chandra, and he will continue the presentation. And again, we're happy to answer additional questions at the end of our presentation. Chandra, I'm not sure if you're sharing.
Okay. Thank you so much, Eugene. I hope you're all able to see my screen. In the next few slides, we're going to take a look at EPAM's Sitecore Content Hub experience and expertise, knowledge, EPAM's Sitecore practice, and some Sitecore Content Hub videos and case studies of real-life projects showcasing the theme. EPAM is the first partner to be Content Hub specialized in EMEA region, and we are also Content Hub specialized in North America as well. We have several thousand hours of experience implementing enterprise, corporate, and professional Content Hub implementations, architecting, configuring, and developing various scripts. We have 10 SAs who undertook the training mock implementation and got enabled in North America, out of which 6 of them are MVPs, the most valuable professionals, that Sitecore awards to people who contribute to the community. In EMEA, we have 4 SAs and 19 professionals in total who got enabled. The list is going pretty quickly. Like Sitecore Content Hub in general is going pretty fast. So we are hiring a lot more people for upcoming Content Hub projects. We are the only partner to present on Content Hub at the Sitecore Symposium 2019. We are the one of the first 4 partners to be invited for early access to Sitecore Content Hub products and features and subcontracting work. We have deep knowledge and experience in all facets of Sitecore Content Hub. It has got 5 features: the TAM, the CMP, the Content Marketing Platform, PCM product content management, MRM for managing the end-to-end product lifecycle of content projects, and web-to-print. We have done a lot of integrations with both upstream and downstream systems. Upstream systems like ERPs, various PIM, translation providers like SDL, to ingest the data into Content Hub, translate them into various languages, and to publish them to the downstream systems and social media channels like Line, Facebook, Sitecore XP. We have worked with large content volumes, pretty large, over like 1 million, like several million, and has developed various scripts for curating the content and generating various reports. This slide is going to talk about EPAM's Sitecore practice. We are a Platinum Sitecore partner and support over 75 customers across North America, EMEA, and APAC. We won several awards, like some of them are Sitecore Hackathon Awards, where a bunch of people would get together in over a weekend to solve some real-world problems. We have the end-to-end Sitecore full spectrum expertise. We are specialized across the entire Sitecore Experience Cloud, including Sitecore Experience Platform, Sitecore Experience Commerce, and Sitecore Content Hub. We have 75 customers all across different regions of North America, EMEA, and APAC. We have over 8 MVPs across the different regions. We have won 11 Sitecore Experience Award till date, and we are since we are a platinum partner, we have a lot of Sitecore certified developers and architects, and we build a lot of accelerators and integrations. And the recent one that was mentioned in the Sitecore Symposium as well is the Headless Sitecore Commerce Retail Accelerator. Now we're going to take a look at 3 videos. In this video, we are going to see some asset bulk operations, how Sitecore Content Hub provides the ability for marketers and content authors to do some bulk operations, and some automated metadata extraction that are generated when assets are uploaded into the Sitecore Content Hub systems, and some AI technologies. Without further ado, we will once logged in, we're going to go to the create page. This is a page where you upload assets into the DAM or into Sitecore Content Hub. The assets that we are uploading today are of like varying image sizes, extensions. Once done, it's going to take a few seconds for it to generate the renditions and the thumbnails. We'll talk about renditions in the next video. Okay. The hash duplicate icon denotes that that's a duplicate version of the asset already exists in the system. Now we're going to click on the iPhone 11 image. We're going to go to the detail page of that asset. We could see that there are several metadata already populated, like the type, in this case is a marketing asset, like keywords, description, title, file name, and a lot of other metadata that are automatically populated that you could see on the right under the system. You could also see that image analysis through AI capabilities have been performed on this, and various tags, description, and colors are generated. And you could see them. iPhone is one of the generated tags. So it is a smart technology. It can detect the image and find out what it is. Next, we are going to take a look at the zip file. Sitecore Content Hub has zip extraction functionality, which allows you to preview the contents of the zip file, the folders, the assets that are uploaded inside it. Now, clicking on a folder, just like in the File Explorer, you could see the contents of it. And clicking on the preview, you could preview the images there as well inside the zip file, which is pretty amazing. The zip file has got some metadata. Now we're going to put in a description and save it. Next up, we're going to do some bulk operations. There's an editing table which provides Excel editing capabilities. Double clicking on any of the cells, for example, in this case, the asset type is a taxonomy. You have the ability to select one or more. And you could also drag and drop and copy the values for the rest, which is a pretty cool functionality. This allows you to bulk edit assets and copy the values pretty easily between them. Okay, once we're done, we're going to click Save and Close. Now we're going to direct publish the assets, which would bypass the review and approval and make these assets appear in the asset search page straight away. Okay, it's pretty evident, like Sitecore Content Hub provides these bulk operations, AI and automated metadata extraction to reduce the production time and increase the speed to market, and which actually maximizes the value. In the second video that we're going to see today, we will take a look at various system generated out of the box renditions, public links, and some smart cropping, which you can apply to the renditions to generate different versions on the fly dynamically. Now we are on the asset search page. Now click on an image, clicking on download and all download options will reveal all the system generated renditions. You could see that it generates various different renditions, which are of various different extensions. You could also have the ability to download a rendition if you want. We're going to see some of the public links that have been generated for this rendition, like the Squire, the mobile, and the desktop. Now we're going to copy the link for the desktop public link, open it up in a different browser tab, and we're going to apply smart cropping by adding a t-query string parameter. As you could see that it kept the image elements intact, like the laptop and two hands, and it resized. I will go back to the search page, click on a different image. That image, as you could see, has some space on the left and the headphone on the right. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to click the desktop public link and apply the same transition. As you could see, it kept the image elements intact with some space on the left and headphone on the right. Okay. The bottom line benefits are pretty evident from this, right? The system generates a lot of renditions out of the box, which is a very powerful and time-saving when it comes to like the various different sizes that one has to generate for various different needs and social media channels and other applications that this image is being consumed on. Right, so it generates various renditions like the Squire desktop, and it's pretty powerful and helpful and saves a lot of time. It also mitigates the risk, and you could apply some transitions on the fly, which would keep the image quality and elements intact and allow you to resize to your needs. And also, through the public link capabilities, it can integrate very easily with downstream systems, and you could also give it out to any application or the team that needs access to it without providing them access to your Sitecore Content Hub system. It also helps you to maintain the consistency. The third and final video that we're going to watch today, we will take a look at various features like the DAM, PCM, CMP, and Web2Print, and how they can be combined together to satisfy a business requirement. Now we're on the assets search page. We're going to search for the iPhone keyword, and boom, it brought up all the iPhone assets. And you could see that all these assets have iPhone tagged as metadata somehow. Now we're going to go to the product families. We're going to click on an iPhone product family. You could see that it has got various metadata associated with it, like the long description, short description, label, brand, and it has. You can also associate products clicking on an iPhone 11 product would take you to the product detail page, which will reveal the details of the iPhone, the metadata, the assets, and the content that you could have so specific to this product. Going back, you could also see that the product family has got its own asset and content. One thing to note here is that like the assets and content for the product family are completely different from the product itself that live underneath that product family. You could maintain various different families. Now we're going to generate a PDF using the web to print functionality. Now, it's a background job. We will go to the download page and it looks like it's ready. We're going to download and take a look at the contents of the generated PDF. You could see that it pulled up the image, the metadata of the product family, and the actual products along with some basic information, which is pretty cool. Right, now if you look at the summary, it's pretty evident, like we're able to have a 360 view of our content landscape. The products that our company and different departments manage, the digital assets that go along with it, the metadata, the actual content like the blog post or any other article that goes along with the product, right? We are able to manage that in like one single place using different features of the Sitecore Content Hub. It's pretty robust. You could also generate like a PDF and hand it over to anybody who would need it, right? This goes to show the how you can combine different features of Sitecore Content Hub to satisfy a business requirement. It also provides for a good governance model and have a unique messaging across the organization. Okay, in the next 3 slides, we are going to take a look at some real life projects that we have done with Sitecore Content Hub. This goes along pretty well with the theme that we are presenting today, the power of content consolidation. The first example that we're going to look at today, this client is a multinational personal care client. They are like all over the world, and they serve some pretty big brand names. Some of the pain points that they're trying to solve are like there is no single source of truth for assets. That's pretty evident. Like, you know, if you have a big department which is sitting across a lot of places across the world, you have like different departments, different location managing content on its own. There are several different versions of assets duplicated and maintained across various systems. Content creation is very expensive and it requires a lot of development work, which is a big maintenance nightmare. Image renditions, it takes like several hours to generate instead of just seconds, as we saw in the videos before. They use Sitecore XP as their content management system, and their templates are not structured well. Like the templates contain like 50 to 100 fields in it, out of which probably like 5 to 10 fields are used at any given point of time. So that is not a good cadence and structure there. They chose Sitecore Content Hub as the digital asset and content management platform to solve their pain points. They want to utilize Content Hub to lay the foundation for their digital content, which will be served across different regions and markets. The process was first we ingested the content from their Sitecore XP into Content Hub, and then we translated the content into like several different languages by building an integration with their STL translation service. Approximately like 30 different languages content were produced, and then the content is published back to XP. Via the DAM connector, Sitecore XP DAM connector, they were also able to pretty much select an asset from Sitecore Content Hub in their Sitecore XP content management system, just like the way they select assets from the Sitecore Media Library. This is a powerful capability, and public links provide you the way to have this enabled. And we also established a bidirectional asset sync between MediaBeacon, their current DAM, and the Sitecore Content Hub, allowing asset publication syndication from both systems. As a result, it's pretty evident, right? They eliminated the siloed content, and their assets and content have like now single source of truth, and reduced the cost significantly. And their image renditions are generated in seconds. In the second example that we're going to look at today, this client is one of the world's largest hospitality group. They have operations in a lot of countries across the world. This client carries some of the same pain points or challenges of the previous client just saw. Like their assets don't have single source of truth, and their assets are scattered across various systems, like physical hard drives and Dropbox folders. In addition to that, some of their assets are almost impossible to find, meaning that they have spent the money and created it and sitting somewhere which they could not repurpose it, right? That defeats the whole purpose of the DAM. And some of their assets are used excessively, right? There is no way to track the expiry of the assets. This is a big deal for a multinational company like them, because if we don't manage the digital rights for the assets, this would go into like copyright infringement and would incur a lot of penalty. The solution that we built for them, as you could read out here, is to centralize all different content silos into one platform, that is Sitecore Content Hub. Like they want a simple system that would allow for vast asset volume ingestion migration. That's a lot of assets, and we had to turn this around in just 4 months. The system that they wanted should also have the built-in digital rights management to minimize the copyright infringement. And Sitecore Content Hub has all these capabilities. As a result, they had a flexible system where they have more than 120,000 assets that are distributed to 70 different channels and applications. This is a pretty big deal for them, and you could see the power of the API capabilities that Sitecore Content Hub provides really coming into play here. Just to give you the scale, these assets were searched like 500,000 times by like thousands of users every single day. So the availability is a key factor, and like it should be really available when they need it. And they were also able to measure the ROI for their marketing assets and track usage. The third and final example that we're going to look at today is this client is a German auto manufacturer. It's a pretty big German auto manufacturer. They have like their car sales all over the world, especially in North America as well. So they were trying to consolidate content from multiple sources and external agencies. It was a pretty tight deadline. They just had like 8 weeks to come up with a process to transform their content creation, processing, and delivery. And they did not have a central repository for their assets. Controlling and tracking the content sources and their inputs is a pretty big deal for them. Plus, they had a labor-intensive manual process like email communication and content duplication for various channels. Their existing DAM application does not fit for their purpose, and it's a 2-star rated application. So they were looking in for a really good, high rated application that would solve their business needs, plus it would also allow them to integrate with Adobe InDesign, their PDF server for generating the PDFs, and for to integrate with their translation provider. As you could see here, the content were translated in 30 languages. It's a pretty big deal for them. So they wanted an ability to integrate with the translation provider through which they can translate content pretty easily and have those content live in Sitecore Content Hub. And Sitecore Content Hub does provide you the capability to do that. Actual results were pretty astonishing, right? They were able to reduce the processing time for the digital from 83 days to 33 days. That's like a 250% gain. And also the processing time for print from 58 to 40 days, which is like an 150% achievement. They have like 860 active users who are accessing the content worldwide. Just to give you the scale, they have over like 1 million assets sitting in Sitecore Content Hub, which is like a 22 terabyte of data, and they add 34,000 assets every single day. And you could see how quickly this would need to scale up, and your DAM system should be capable enough of handling the scale and providing you with the ability to search for those assets and use them wherever it is needed. Obviously, this drove their business value up by 60% and reduced their cost tremendously. They were also able to produce like high quality customer-centric content. All these examples and videos goes to show that how these clients leverage Sitecore Content Hub to consolidate content from various different sources and silos, which are owned by different departments, and they were to consolidate that in Sitecore Content Hub and leverage its features to satisfy the business requirement. With this, thank you so much for listening in. I would like to turn this over for a Q&A session.
That's great. Thanks, Chandra, and thanks, Eugene, as well. So we have got a couple of questions, actually, now 3 questions that came in from the audience. So the first couple, about all 3 are in from Margaret Majorak, and I'll actually ask all 3 together because I suspect they're quite related. So can you set a criteria for the choice of the thumbnail from the videos? Will be the first part of it. So these questions came up during your section, Chandra, but I don't know whether it's you or Eugene is a better place to answer them.
Yeah, you have the ability to set the thumbnail for those videos as well. Yes.
Okay, so but is there a specific criteria that you can set for the choice of the thumbnail?
Just like the way you can set a thumbnail for any image, you would have the ability to set those as well. I don't think there is any specific criteria there.
Okay, and is there any permission levels for the downloads of high resolution images?
Yes, for digitally restricted assets, you would need to go through an approval process for you to download those assets, right? And for non-digitally restricted assets, you would be able to download them via the public links. If the image size is going to be bigger, obviously it's going to take much time. I don't think the system is going to limit you from downloading an high-res image via the public link. It's just it's going to be time consuming, and for digitally restricted, you would have to go through the approval process.
Right, okay. And the final question on it is it 34,000 a day or 3,400 a day for the auto manufacturing daily ingest?
It's 34,000 a day.
Right, okay. That's fine. There was a question that occurred to me whilst you were going through your section when you were talking about tracking. Obviously, sort of tracking usage is one side of things, but how does Content Hub help with tracking the performance of those digital assets and help quantify the better content results and better conversions? Because that's really obviously what a lot of organizations care about is, are we getting a return on our investment for this content? So, for example, if there's 1 to 2 images versus on model, 360 view and zoom, etc.
I'm sorry, is this question for me or for Eugene?
Whichever of you wants to answer it, Eugene or Chandra, I don't mind. Perhaps Eugene,
Sure.
you
I
have the
mean,
answer.
like again, Chandra probably can answer more specifically towards Content Hub, but basically, when the content is being published, yes, you usually use some form of CDN, which is a content delivery network, and you can basically track the performance of the digital asset and where this asset was invoked from which domain or from which application, etc. And then, all this data can be imported and pushed to some form of a data lake where you can basically analyze and compare pages and URLs. And usually you should be able to see and track, for example, performance of the campaign, or let's just say if you're using different agency, you can see and compare the efficiency of some of the assets produced for the same campaign from different digital agencies, yes, and make a decision what works for you. And this can also be run on the channel level. So you could basically do some form of A/B testing and post slightly different images, for example, in the email communication versus mobile device, yeah, and then you can compare the performance of the assets.
Thanks, Eugene. Anything to add, Chandra?
Yeah. So with regard to Sitecore Content Hub, as I told during the presentation, provides powerful API capabilities through which it has also got some like conversion metrics in place. So depending upon if you're syndicating content to your social media, like LinkedIn, and you want to track how many people have actually viewed it, so you could be passing in information like the clicks on your post, right? The actual image, so how many people have viewed it. So you could be passing back all those information to Sitecore Content Hub via the API, and then based on the conversion metrics, it's going to give you the ROI of the images that you're talking about.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. Thank you. We have another question come in. Are there any rights systems integrated with the DAM that would change asset permissions for access?
Yes, you could digitally restrict certain assets, and Sitecore Content Hub has a powerful user policy and permission mechanism in place through which you'd be able to pretty much restrict access. You could have someone just view the assets and not be able to download them. And you could have some people just download specific renditions of an asset. Like you could go down to that level. You can be so granular, and Sitecore Content Hub has powerful capabilities through which you can pretty much get granular and grant and restrict access.
Yeah,
but let me try to maybe add a little bit. Yeah, there is, if you have an external system, which for example manages contracts or like model releases or property releases, it's also possible via integration to bring this metadata into the Sitecore Content Hub and basically trigger certain workflows automatically, not just based on the user permissions, but also based on the metadata. Yes, like a start and end date, or for example, or the asset is allowed for publication in a specific country or region. So with some configuration, this is also possible to do.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's great. And I'll just wrap up with one more question from me, and it hopefully will help some of the members that we've got in the audience as well. So what strategies can people implement to more effectively produce and promote content across multiple channels at the same time? So for example, if you've got a product or service that's launched on multiple e-commerce platforms, and at the same time you are launching the campaign with multiple advertising platforms as well.
I can start. Like generally, again, it's like generally you need to be able to understand it during the production phase. Yes, because different channels like Google, you mentioned, yes, for the promo engine, or Instagram or Facebook or WeChat, whatever it is, they all have a different requirements, yes. So the challenging part is to be able to understand where you are, what's your goals, what are your timelines, yeah, and be able to produce this content, yeah. Once you have it, yeah, it's relatively easy using solution like Content Hub to be able to then do a distribution. But I would say the most challenging and important part is this orchestration and preparation to make sure that you don't find any errors after you invested millions of dollars in the campaign, and then suddenly one of your channel breaks. Yes, so this, in my mind, this orchestration is very important.
All right, that's lovely. Well, we are on to the hour, Chandra. If you can just move on to the final slide so people can have the contact details for both of you. Thank you to everybody for attending the session today. I hope that was useful. Of course, please do reach out to us afterwards if you have any further questions, or if we can help you any further in the future. And we've got the details there on screen as well. And of course, don't forget, Henry Stewart obviously produce various professional journals and other online events and courses as well. We have been Chandra, Eugene, and Gordon from EPAM. It's been a pleasure, and we hope to see you again in the future.